So on Asmongold Clips channel, we saw the I think the Reddit post or something like a movie about what was wrong with Dragon Age Veilguard characters, and it was an explanation, even professional, that and it was shown by this movie that the heads were too big, were too cartoonish, and the bodies were too thin to these types of heads, because the heads were comically too big, and the bodies were too thin to look in a pleasing way, in a realistic way. And on this movie, they shown that in 2 weeks they managed to fix that problem, and to combine the head of the character of the hero with the whole body. And of course, this is the major issue of Dragon Age Veilguard, which will be released in I think in late October, early not December. Oh my God. So let's say late October or early November. But unfortunately, they released two. Maybe not. Maybe not. No. Let's focus on only this clip, which was posted by a secondary channel of Asmongold, in Asmongold clips. But it is still important to analyze the problem. The problem is that Dragon Age Veilguard is created on an engine of oh my god, I forgot the name. It is the engine Frostbite, and the Frostbite engine is particularly good in Battlefield universe, in Battlefield games, and it is engine created for FPS shooting games. It's not created for RPG games. And we saw, because of the Anthem, but even more because Anthem was in a part RPG shooting looter. But the worst scenario was, of course, Mass Effect Andromeda. And we saw that this engine is completely useless when in RPG games, in role playing games. It was useless. Uh, Let me tell you this. I finished all Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 3 or 4 times with different characters, different classes. And I and I couldn't in Mass Effect Andromeda, I was probably maybe fourth level, 3 level long. I was playing that long because I couldn't find an objective on the map, because the map was created in that the level of terrains was for example, there were 3 level of terrain, and the quest could be on the, for example, highest level of terrain, and map couldn't show it properly. So I didn't know how to go to the point where the quest was given, or for example, where the for example, when I have a quest, I couldn't go to the location where I could do it because I wasn't able to look at the map properly. And the because Frostbite is very good at, for example, making a very beautiful vistas, very beautiful long way wallpapers, let's say, with beautiful rainforests or water or something like that. But the items, the characters, when they are very close, they are, I think, too colorful and too shiny. So they are almost like too cartoonish. And in FPS games, like for example Anthem, it wasn't a problem. It was not a problem, a big problem. But here in RPG games, especially because Dragon Age series are rather dark, in this not even high fantasy but dark fantasy genre, and unfortunately, uh, when we saw in these clips of Asmongold and this guy who created them, that they tried to they made Dragon Age Veilguard looked like a Fortnite game, like Fortnite game, like Team Fortress 2 game, like something like that, or like Apex Legend game, even like a little bit like Overwatch game. So it's cartoonish, it's very colorful, and in bright colors. They are really bright colors, and the characters look silly cartoonish. They look almost like over exaggerated. For example, we have this series Borderlands, and in Borderlands, all characters are cartoonish because the whole engine is like cartoonish like, but it's completely appropriate uh, in a very dark humor FPS futuristic game. In futuristic game, it's okay. For example, like we saw this idea in cyberpunk game, but in fantasy games, it completely ruins the mood. It completely ruins the mood. So, for example, we saw the dragons in Dragon Age Veilguard, and they are all like Christmas trees. Their eyes shiny, their breath shiny, their tongues shiny. They all are glittering, and we don't know why. So they look like some glittering lanterns, and and they completely, because they supposed to be blighted dragons, but they look really silly. And I think that BioWare, I don't know why they decided to even create Dragon Age Veilguard, new Dragon Age on the Frostbite engine. If they saw that Mass Effect Andromeda was completely failure, of course we have the counter argument that Dragon Age Inquisition was the game of the year, and it sold very well. But I think that even in Dragon Age Inquisition, it was too action packed, and the Dragon Age Origins, the first game, was very like Baldur's Gate, so it was really difficult, and it was really focused on tactics on the battle, and on the aspect that every skill, even though they are slow, every skill was important. When you play Dragon Age Origins, warrior, roach, mage, every skill is important, and every skill is rather slow. Your characters can fight very well, and for example, you see when they use a skill, you see a very little like yellow font of what skill this is, and it pop up on the screen, and you see, okay, so now Alistair used shield bash, and it bashed with his shield an enemy, and so on. So every skill was important, and here in Dragon Age Veilguard, they try to put this Mass Effect fight. And Mass Effect is their other famous RPG series of games, but Mass Effect games could be less tactical and more action packed because they were in the future. So you use rifles, shotguns, pistols, small rifles, sniper rifles, and the battle is fast. And the battle is fast, but it is still convincing that it has this punch. That it has this punch that you fight with the enemies, they die. The graphics, the music, the sound effect of rifles were really impressive, and the fight was fast, but still, you, your characters could use skills, and in Mass Effect series, often they used some in Mass Effect first, especially, but even in third and in two and third, they even could use skills better than you, faster than you, and your skills were still important. So even though, for example, Mass Effect had less skills than Dragon Age Origins, still they were important to use in a proper manner and in proper let's say chronology and in proper situation. And here in Veilguard, unfortunately, they try to use this uh, action fight with monsters, which because someone who played Dragon Age 2, I played it. I didn't play it whole, but I played it to almost to almost the end, three fourth of the end, and the battle was too casual. It was too casual. The enemies were dying too casually to me being satisfied with what I'm doing. And for RPG game is a major setback, because in RPG games you need to be focused on what equipment you use, what equipment you wear, what equipment your companions use, what skills they use, and how tough, how interesting is the battle. And in Dragon Age Origins, all battles were really interesting, and all of them, even on easy difficulty, it was not very easy, and on normal the game was hard. The game was hard, but it was also a very satisfactory, because every skill used, you could see a beautiful animation, beautiful moves of our characters. And in Veilguard you see that even because they said that in Veilguard the main focus will be on our characters, but how we can focus on our companions, on our characters, or on companion characters, when they are look so silly. Yes, they look so silly. Their heads are too big, their bodies are too thin, and they look really really stupidly silly. Cartoonish Team Fortress silly, and the Dragon Age Origins one, I think, was 17 plus game. So it was a really serious game with a lot of text, a lot of different aspects of conducting the quest, and sometimes very brutal game, almost cruel. I would say that it was really cruel. So, for example, in Redcliffe Castle, you could kill Connor and not to fight the demoness. You could kill his mother. It was really. And sometimes, if you wanted to be a bad character, the game was really cruel, and the game was through all whole playthrough very serious. It was a serious game. It was a spiritual spiritual protagonist, spiritual następca in Polish, spiritual. It was a game who was created by BioWare, and BioWare created Baldur's Gate 1. And Baldur's Gate 1 was a revolutionary RPG game. And it was Dragon Age Origins paid respects to Baldur's Gate series. And of course, third Baldur's Gate is a fantastic game, but it was created not by BioWare Studios but Larian Studios, and I don't know why. And it was completely old CRPG game, so it was action, but tactical and thorough, and but advanced. And here, unfortunately, only because of this really silly change of characters and their stupid big heads and unproportional body types, we see that that they created almost something like an abomination from the Veilguard series, because even in second Dragon Age, even in third, the stakes, the ideas, the main enemies, they were still mysterious. They will still we still didn't know, we still don't know who is the main villain, what is the main antagonist of the movies. But also there were many problems which we were left blindly by earlier games. And this game was Veilguard. It will be too silly to play. It is almost like the whole game, which was because Dragon Age Inquisition was published in 2014. Veilguard will be in 2024. So almost 10 years, and we cannot see improvement in graphics. We cannot see improvement in character models, and we cannot see the improvement in the seriousness of the series. That fight leveling, because for example, if you play Dragon Age Origins, I would say that Dragon Age Origins, for me, it was the best game, and especially the best RPG game when you level up. So when you level up, the level up was so satisfactory, and it was not too much level, 20 levels and 35 with the Awakening expansion. But every level, every item, because in Baldur's Gate series and in Dragon Age Origin series, the items, there are only a couple, several items of very high quality, difficult to grab, difficult to get, but it is really satisfactory when your whole team is equipped with the best equipment. And for example, every item has, especially those magical items, they have different graphics, different annotations. And for example, in Dragon Age 2, they all looked in the inventory the same. In game they look different, but in the inventory they look the same. The best sword in the game and the worst sword in the game, they look the same. The companions in the first Dragon Age, you could wear their inventory was as advanced as your main character, and in Dragon Age 2 they could wear only a couple of items, not all like your character, like your main character. And this was bad move, and we see that they go even further into this simplistic way. I don't know why, because younger players, they will not play Dragon Age Veilguard, they will play Fortnite, they will play Team Fortress, they will play their games on their age, Apex Agent, Overwatch, and so on. And Dragon Age Origins is not it's not a God of War game. It's not God of War game, and I'm sure they were. It was impossible for them to, of course, create this game on Unreal Engine 5. But I think that Unreal Engine 5 is way to go with RPG games, and it's a really beautiful engine. We see, for example, Wukong right now. It's a very simple game, but famous because it's complicated with the fighting of the Wukong with all these bosses, and the graphic is really beautiful. The graphic is beautiful, and the graphic in this Frostbite engine, especially for fantasy games, is horribly glittering. It's horribly glittering. Every aspect of the game is glittering, and it is like you would watch Gumisie, the like you would watch. RR Brigade, and these serials was very funny, but they were colorful because they were fully for the children, and the Veilguard looks like a game to even 10 years old children. And for example, I played this very complicated game in 1995, UFO Enemy Unknown, and I was 11 years old, and for me this game was way too difficult to play it properly, but I still was interested in this game. The climate, the obvious airy music, because it was a Amiga version of the game, and Amiga version of the game, I think it had better music, more terrifying. And even though I couldn't play this game properly, I was still excited that I can play it. And here they put this game on players who will be 17 and above, who will be playing Dragon Age Origins. Dragon Age Origins are old school RPG games. Even the third, even the second and the third. And I think what BioWare should do is really to focus and to return to the core, return to the first Dragon Age Origins, which was created on their new Eclipse engine. This engine was really beautiful. The characters, the spells, the unique lightnings, the unique glittering effects, but only a few. Only if the game was really dark with gray, ash colors, but sometimes you have, for example, item or a spell who was really beautifully glittering, and it was really cool to see it. And they should really focus on returning to this Eclipse engine, maybe advanced it like Larian did with their famous games. So original Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2 and Baldur's Gate 3 went on the same Divinity engine but improved. Really this topic of Asmon, which Asmongold published on his secondary channel, is really showing us that the whole concept, even the artistic concept, is ugly. The artistic concept of characters, it's ugly, and I think that the main director was an Asian woman, and Asians have this. Of course, they can do this artistic. For example, cartoon when something is dirty but it still looks beautiful. But I think they have this own unique style, and here in Dragon Age Veilguard, it's almost like the whole game was created by an AI. It was like Destiny 1, only far worse, and only created by AI. So yeah, so these big heads characters, and the whole characters look silly and completely inappropriate on the Dragon Age series games. Because if, for example, it was Tiny Tina, so Borderlands in Middle Earth, or Borderlands in a fantasy world of medieval Europe or medieval times, okay. But it is not a Borderlands series, but Dragon Age series. So let me know in the comments what do you think about this unproportionally big heads and problem with Veilguard.